What's good with it, man? This is Imran speaking here today on a lovely little video. Shall we get into today's topic? Y'all must know. Signing in like this, right? Today we got Gemini and the Sun and the Moon in Leo. One thing y'all should know that everything is intense, right? Everything is intense with the Leo Moon. And Gemini, just being communicative and expressive, everything's intense. So you're likely to want to pay attention to the deep, subtle things that actually taking place beneath it all. One thing I must mention today is to protect your energy above all, because one thing that may seem like it's for you, one thing that may seem like it belongs in your life is actually in actuality expressing itself in the Gemini-like way. Gemini likes to be snaky. Gemini don't like to play all of its cards and show all of its cards on the table. Gemini got these three sides: the awareness and the left and the right, and the left polarity and the right polarity of life in general. Because life has always a polarity, don't it? Left and right. There's two sides to everything. So two sides to all situations, all people, all answers, and you know what I'm saying? Like just two sides in general, two energies being played out no matter what situation you're in. And this is life. There's always two polarities. There's good, there's evil, there's light, there's dark, there's bad, there's so on and so on. You know what I'm saying? And you need both. That's how we have balance, of course. So the Gemini will express itself maybe as one way. Maybe it could be someone you're visiting or seeing again, or you're not gonna say like you get all these feelings and everything. It could be like your family and all these feelings, and the way it's coming off, but beneath it all, something else is happening. So that's key right there. So I don't want anybody to have any fragile spirits out here, because you gotta have a strong spirit and protect your energy and protect your frequency and protect where you at. So what that means is, if you know, once you know thyself and you know where you're operating from, you know automatically that you just operating from a high motherfucking vibrational frequency. So you're not about to lower your frequency in any sort of way, because you know the place you at is about to benefit yourself and everybody around you, and in general it's heading in a positive direction. You can know this once you know yourself and you actually been through a lot of experiences and accumulated wisdom to understand this and understand it by going through those experiences and being under the weather and being under the currents. You know what I'm saying? Then you can understand and have a balance right there. You have a deep inner glossary and dictionary and book that you create for yourself and your life and your story that you go back to any time, and you can see where you've been in the past. You can see how you traveled. You can see how you developed. You can see how you transformed, aka knowing where your Pluto is at and all of that. So look, so right here, right? And then we got the overstanding, the overarching, the rainbow above the waters, and then it leads to the gold. And we know that the pot of gold lies by going through life in each of its cycles and being able to experience all that motherfucking shit and not trying to hold yourself back from anything. And at a certain point, you got to develop the wisdom and the sensitivity within yourself to be able to understand and overstand what people, places, and things are for you. You feel, man? So one thing, man, I wish you well. I wish y'all well. I want y'all to understand this. Not every people, place, thing is for you. And most importantly, that you could be in a situation as a spirit where you just got to go through some experiences. And nobody can tell you shit until you go through those experiences. You could be that type of spirit on God. So I can't really say that you are making a mistake by going through that experience when you know better, because you don't know better, because you might have to go through the experience. But this video in general is to into realizing all the things that you could go through. You can see it ahead of time. You can see it way before by just zooming out. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Sagittarius sun, so I'm really good at being able to zoom out a little bit, especially when I'm in situations where I'm not completely sure of it, or I'm not completely aware of all the pieces in its entirety. I just want to sit back and just watch and soak it in, kind of like Cancer. I might have a Cancer conjunction or something like that, something dealing with Cancer in my main dominant chart, even though I haven't seen it whenever I looked it up on the little database and shit like that. So really, I don't even like using technology and shit like that to understand the stars. Right now I'm just chilling. I'm not even, of course, like I know the sun is in Gemini and the moon's in Leo as the main basic topic, but beneath all that shit, I rather understand astrology through going through the processes I need to go through in life in general. So I'm not about to force myself to get on no piece of technology to understand or overstand something that I can't overstand right here in the present moment. Right now, I'm just looking up and feeling within. Yeah, feel. It's like that. So I'm gonna keep it at a T right there and sip on my shit real quick. Gotta stand by my word, man. You feel? So yeah, like that. We lit. And one thing I want to say is that don't let yourself be caught off guard by any old person, people, place, situation, thing that may seem like it's for you, but beneath in reality, you got an entirely different story. And with family, when you're dealing with family, you might catch a situation, you know what I'm saying, people who are close to you and shit, you might catch a situation where things just escalate. Things are just like, you know what I'm saying, like they're just in the air and they're very Leo-like and they're taking stage and they're just presenting themselves like a fire, like a Leo. And we heavily involved in the Leo constellation, just being on Mother Earth and being in the solar system and being here. You feel it from the heart chakra. You can feel this shit. In general, the Lion King and just people looking up to lions and shit like that in the animal kingdom. It just, you can see it right there. Breathing fire and shit like that. We were heavily involved with dragons and shit, fire elements. So yeah, it all has to deal with hand in hand with Leo constellation. And I got my North Node Leo, so and my MC, so I understand this to the T. I understand what it feels like to want to move towards trying to embody yourself in your life purpose in a certain energy, in a certain direction, and being able to pinpoint that and where that's at, and being able to use that shit like your bitch, and not get used by it, because they can definitely get used by it. Yeah, feel me? And that's being under the currents, and you might have to go through being under the currents and get used by people, places, things, situations, and experience toxic relationships or experience toxic things, and just get in fucked up places till you have developed the wisdom by understanding certain things and the insights, and then by developing those wisdoms, the ninth house, you can then have the closing hierarchy of all the motherfucking dimensions right there, first to ninth. And you can come back to the full circle, and you gotta travel between these different places in life like a snake. Okay, so you understand that just because people say snake, oh yeah, snake, like that don't necessarily mean it's bad or it's evil, or it's like the snake tempting Eve in the fucking forest. Like, I know y'all love to think like that in a lower frequency, like that in a lower dimension. I know y'all love to learn about your Bibles and your religions and shit like that, but above all, what you should realize that all of these are just little every little pinpoint you can find, every example you can find, any religious text, it's really pointing to something bigger happening behind the scenes. So what that means is, don't take everything so literal and for what it is. Look past it, look deeper. And this opportunity to see today in frequency, vibration, to see how your situations play out, and being able to rise above the currents by going under the currents and understanding, to develop the wisdom to come back in a full circle, to then develop you as an individual, to know your place in everything and in every circumstance and every people, place, thing. What you got to do is be the observer and be the awareness, so you can be able to understand that in its entirety, by then over having the umbrella effect, and then coming back just like the crown chakra, having pouring down to the toes, or the Pisces meeting, the waters meeting. That's how you flow, because that's deep and that's below. Okay, it's lit like that. Aries, fire, like Hercules. That fire moving. You can use that fire that's moving to ignite certain thoughts and vibrations, to attract different layers of thinking, to then create the way in which you can understand and overstand the world and yourself. And you are a part of this whole fucking collection, of this whole piece. Use just one fire and this giant flame with all these fires, and this whole fire is big and it's collected. It's like the cells in your body. So you definitely probably a cell in a body, aka you probably living in a being right now. You probably a cell right now in a being. You ever go that deep to think like that before? Just like you ever think like your cells don't have the awareness that you do, so they don't necessarily might not think or know that they're a cell unless they're aware. That means they're an aware aware entity in its entirety. They're an aware entity, and when your cells are an aware entity, the awareness will vibrate, and it will start to vibrate at the frequency that you vibrate on. So then you start learning life lessons and shit based upon where you're vibrating. And depending how you're vibrating, sometimes you may be vibrating really low, sometimes you may be vibrating really high, but in general, wherever the fuck you're vibrating, you're gonna learn something. You're gonna be having that insight. Now based upon how you, because it's not just what you do, it's how you do it, right? So based upon how you vibrate and how you learn through the vibrations you're in, how deep and how insightful you are, how introspective you can be at times, how still and quiet you can be in the mind in general, and in general be quiet and be aware and be. That's how. It's not what you do, it's how. So how do you learn? How do you go through life? And the way and the how, you develop your how by knowing yourself, by just being, period, by just being. Sometimes you gotta chill back and chillax and motherfucking observe and be. Just don't feel like that motherfucking fire that's burning from underneath your ass to get you up and try to go move and dance and shit like that. Unless you're in a situation where you really have to. In that case, motherfucking fight for your spirit, fight for your fucking life. Hell yeah. But when you're not in that situation, be wise enough. Try to learn to be wise enough to take a step back and introspect and observe and relax and chill and motherfucking take it all in, soak it in like a Cancer a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Unless you are a Cancer, and then you can really soak in too much, and you really got to learn as a Cancer to not soak in too much. And I'm serious about the Cancer thing in my chart and shit like that. I haven't seen it in my chart, nothing like that for what I looked at, but hey, so far I do feel like I do embody a lot of Cancer like energy. Shout out to Bob Marley. Bob Marley's a Cancer. All right, so that's how it's done, though. You know what I'm saying? It's the development of where you are, how you're vibrating, what and how you vibrate, how you learn when you vibrate, how you do it, how you vibrate, knowing thyself and being with yourself long enough to figure out how, and in very diverse how, and in very diverse whats. In very different diverse whats, you learn hows in those places. You learn, because you always want to know how. How do I make, for example, motherfucker entrepreneur nowadays wanna make $1 million. Okay, there's lots of those. You can see that shit around. Oh, I wanna make $1 million. How the fuck do I do it? It's the first question, right? Well, okay, how do you develop the how? Who else but knowing yourself? The fuck? Being with yourself long enough, sustaining within certain turbulences, like a bird. Like, you don't think you've probably been a different animal or something like that in a past life or something like that? Come on. So come on. Get with the program here. Observe different places. Observe different areas. Different whats. And then naturally, by just flowing, being like water, by being like air, being like all the different elements, being like earth and still, being like space and wide and expansive, and space inside space. Space is everything. Space is, and then developing the matter within that space, aka third dimensionally, manifesting things. And you do this by knowing the how and the what's, and how you're doing what you're doing, period. So how do you know this person is toxic for you? How do you know the situation is not for you? How do you know which way to go in life? How do I figure it out? I'm so overwhelmed, so stressful times, and I'm trying to figure out how to move through this life. Hey, just like that. How? You do it just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Just like that. Shut the fuck up. Sit the fuck down. Just chillax. Just look. AKA sexual energy. Look at the different areas of the body and how they interact with the world and how they feel. So even when you have all this pressure around you and shit like that, you have all this pressure around you about people, places, circumstances, and things, and it makes you want to act out of character, not be yourself, and not truly be relaxed and being an observer, and not feeling good in your skin. And that will create wisdom. That will create insights. That will create motherfucking experiences that will help you to transform in itself, to see the bigger picture. and how you can expand and how you can be aware and how you can look at things. Fuck the whats. We use the whats as our bitch, period. We use the world as our bitch. We use everything as a bitch, period. Learning to operate at the angelic frequency is how as well. But sometimes you need to learn how to operate within the demonic frequency. But just by you being here, you're operating within demonic frequencies. You was created and you came from within demonic frequencies. Or you might have came through angelic frequencies, and you take on more naturally. You take on more of those tones and those vibrations. So it's all about you at the end of the day. You as a spirit. You's the one developing. You's the one having the Wakyo temple. And motherfucking shoot. Especially as a masculine energy. You're shooting out. As a Sagittarius, I know it. Shooting out. Going far out. And this has nothing to do with your physical body, if it's a man, or how you feel. It's just your spirit. You're either operating primarily from a masculine energy, you're operating primarily from a feminine energy. And we need to have the balance based on whatever gender we are. We need to have the balance between what don't matter what gender we are. Balance, period. Balance within all. But especially if you're born in a masculine male body, you're predominantly likely to take on the masculine and a little bit less of the feminine. And vice versa on the opposite end. If you take on a female's body, you're likely to take on more feminine, a little bit less of the masculine. So we learn to work within good and bad. We learn to work within angelic and demonic. We learn to work within the polarities. We learn to be ourselves within the whats we experience, within the whats we go through. And over time, being patient, being yourself, not necessarily wanting to get to the finish line and realizing the story of the turtle. Motherfucking chill. Come on, you can't learn from a fucking Taurus once in a while? Goddamn. We're all the zodiacs. All the different zodiacs are just constellations just in the being that we're in your body. That's all it is. So even, by knowing your chart, you know which energies and which constellations you primordially as well, primarily operate from. But you are all of them as well. They all influence you to an extent, to a level, and you'll know which ones you interact with and which ones play out in different whats by feeling yourself. This is when people say they feel themselves, they're getting to know themselves. Oh, I'm feeling myself. Oh shit, you getting to know yourself. That's why you saying that, motherfucker. You getting to know yourself and you feeling yourself. So that's something to take into account. Into the world, into the hows, going through the whats, taking into account that you're just learning to feel yourself within all of those things. You're learning to be yourself. You're learning to breathe. You inhale first, remember? Shout out to Dolo the Pilot Man, the Soul Group. You already know we Soul Group out here. We lit. Ha! Developing as a motherfucking frequency and entity in general. And we all doing that. So look. I forgot the motherfucking point I was about to make right there, but fuck it. But yeah, so that's right. Okay, yeah, you're being yourself. Being yourself through all of it. You're learning to just be. You're not trying to overstep. You're not trying to fall back into any insecurity that's holding you back from actually being. So the insecurity was created in the first place as a safe haven, but it's an illusion because the insecurity was created based upon external things, most likely, and the internal things that's developed as a spirit from past lives and so on. And by knowing thyself, by knowing yourself in its entirety, you'll be able to know your past, and that way you know where you come from. And it's like that. And it's beautiful. Life can be so fucking beautiful if you just learn to motherfucking step in to the unknown a little bit at times. And then other times, learn to be in your knowing. Learn to be in your know. Learn when you know better. So you might have to tell a motherfucker no. You might have to say, I know. Even when it feel like you don't know. Cause you trying. And you going for it. And that's all you ever gonna do. As a fucking spirit. If you operate in the right vibrations and frequencies. Yo vibrations and yo frequencies. Taking the time to know yourself. Being patient. Going through what you gotta go through at times. Even when you gotta be like, damn, why the fuck I gotta go through this? Or like, why, right? Then you develop the why by going through the what's. And not necessarily receiving the hows the way you think you should. Because you're still holding on to an ego. You're still holding on to an outcome. Fuck that. Fuck that. It might take a little bit longer for you to get there, but you gonna get there. By just being yourself. Yourself might take a little bit longer to get there, but you gonna get there. By just learning to be your motherfucking self. And without further ado, when you step into the house, and how, learn to be like, why? Why? Okay, it's probably for a fucking reason. And then looking deeper from that place. Observe, introspect, be still, be your fucking self. I love y'all. Peace.